Who are you?
Brody.
Brody, what band are you from?
The Distillers.
Distillers are probably my favorite non-classic punk band. They came out at a time where the world could really use some good punk music. I mean, at the time there was punk, don't get me wrong, but it was shit like this.
Girls don't like boys, girls like cars and money. Responsibility, what's that? Responsibility, not quite yet. You were everything I wanted. Sorry, I can't be perfect.
And I could go on and on and on. I mean, fuck, I love shit like Green Day and Blink-182, but besides the real early stuff, I always kind of viewed them as a bastardization of their genre. Even the shit I liked. But not this band though. This band lived, breathed, fucked, and oozed punk in the early 2000s. While Benji Madden is on his period being whiny and bitchy over the opposite sex because girls are mean! Brody Dalle is kicking him in the fucking taint, screaming in his face, telling him to take it like a fucking woman, you fucking pussy. And speaking of Brody, my god, what a front woman. Bred from other great front women like Joan Jett, Shirley Manson, and of course the obvious comparison of Courtney Love. And Brody has even acted as somewhat of a bridge that separates women like the Sisters of Heart to female rockers of today. You know, people like Hayley Williams of Paramore, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, or Bethany Constantino of Best Coast. And people sometimes give this band a bit of shit, mainly because they borrow a lot from other influences, mainly Hole. And I may like the occasional Hole song here or there, but they're always a bit too slick for my liking. They didn't have too much bite to the music, unlike the Distillers, whose music bites you like Don O'Keefe's vagina and teeth. Hey, I just realized that reference works on multiple levels. The Distillers were formed in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, by both fellow Australian and fellow Melburnian Brody Dalle. Brody grew an interest in punk music growing up, and she was even releasing music by the age of 16 with a band called Sourpuss. And they even released a couple of EPs, which weren't half bad for the record. And this is shit she was doing at 16, for fuck's sake. I mean, fuck, I'm 18 and I have a hard enough time doing power chords. But anyway, she ended up moving from Australia to America with her at-the-time husband, where she then founded the Distillers, recruiting Kim Chi on bass, who I can't really find too much information about, considering every single time I Google her name, I get this. Yeah, for some reason I don't think we're talking about the same Kim. Rose Mazzola on guitars and Matt Young on drums. With that lineup they released an EP, but who gives a fuck because it's literally the same songs from the first album, they just sound worse. It kinda sounds like Husker Du a bit, but you know, just worse. The audio clips, there's different lyrics, the same shit you expect when a band releases an EP of the same songs from the first album. But anyway, they did end up releasing their self-titled debut album in 2000.
This is our first show, so we really have no idea what we're doing.
Oh, the Distillers' debut album. What to say about this album? I'm not saying this necessarily as a compliment because there's shit all to fucking say and there's no information about this album online. Jesus cocksucking Christ, I thought Sammy Hagar fan forums were empty, but this shit gives it a run for its money. I mean, there's not really too much to say, it's just a great punk album. But that's never stopped me before, so let's cut straight into the meat and potatoes. It starts with O Serena, which is a great way to start not only the album, but the band's discography. But this band's discography may be criminally short, but it's sweet nonetheless. Huh, short and sweet. Just like my... I mean, in the song, it sounds like Brody is singing from past experiences. You can hear a lot of conviction in her voice, and it sounds genuine. And for pretty much that reason alone, it's my favorite song of the album. But that shit basically goes for every song on the album. Besides, obviously, the cover of Patti Smith, another great frontwoman who more than likely was an influence to Brody, Ask the Angels, which I'm two minds of the song. On one hand, I don't think it fits the album with like its honky-tonk piano. But on the other hand, I think it works because if it wasn't for this song, the song would probably feel quite samey. And I mean, they didn't really change the song too much to accommodate their style, so it's kind of to be expected when a punk band specifically pays tribute to another song but don't change the song that much.
That's the angels, who they call it. No, that's the angels that they call it to be. That's the angels, gotta fall in.
And there's actually a song on this album with not just Brody singing, the only one of the band's career, Girl Fixer. Now, I'm not sure who else is singing this track, whether it's Rose or Kim, but whoever it is, her voice ain't half bad. And it's somewhat a missed opportunity. I mean, they could have incorporated multiple vocalists and be like a female punk rock version of Kiss.
It's like, it reminds me of Kiss, and I hate Kiss. Sorry.
Okay, maybe not. Something else to say on this album is Brody doesn't really know how to pronounce words. Like Joey and Ramone up in this bitch, but a female version. She slurs big time when she sings, and she sounds very young. Which I guess makes sense, because she couldn't have been any older than 20 whilst recording the album. In a strange way, I think it adds to the album. Brody has such a vicious punk rock snarl, which she never quite could replicate on other albums, mainly because, well, she grew up.
This is the story about Sutherland women, LA women, on LA mission.
And some of these tracks do kind of borrow from other places, whether intentionally or probably unintentionally. The main example that comes to mind is the opening chords of World Comes Tumbling Down, which sounds similar to a beloved classic from the 80s.
Another girl, another planet, another girl, another planet.
Which, to be fair, is something to be kind of expected from a debut album. Hell, Pantera sound like Exhorder on pretty much all of their albums, so a little bit of obvious inspiration never killed anyone. Overall, it's a strong debut. The lineup on this album is as tight as it was short-lived. It's filled with great songs: Idolist, Closest USA, Blackheart, Distillers Retrospective. Fuck, I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
Do not wait, come here, do not what you want from me. Everybody say you use me. Oh, I wish he did. Oh, what you mean me? I'm less suffering for you.
Just amazing material overall. But was there room to improve? Or were there one album wonder a la Guns N' Roses? Well, let's find out. Out of my fucking ears! Yeah, I think we'll be good.
Hey, what's going on, world? I'm Sway with MTV News, and this week's edition of You Hear It First, where we here at MTV shine our spotlight on an up-and-coming band or act that we think you might actually like. Without further ado, it's the Distillers, a band that gives a spark to the world of punk rock, and it doesn't take the resident expert to know how much is needed. The female lead is definitely genuine, and the Distillers pick up where legends like the Runaways left off. Check this out.
With a sound that captures the idealism of old school punk, the Distillers are as honest as it gets.
I don't feel vulnerable. I don't really give a what people think, you know. I just write whatever I'm feeling at the time.
Keep the memory of a broken you. Cynic signal stories of a fraction view. I believe I will open up.
Sing Sing Death House. Like I mentioned briefly before, the lineup on the first album didn't last long. Matt Young and Kim Chi joined up with Irving Cervenka, fuck, I can't say words. But anyway, they left to join the chick from X in some band you neither know nor care about. Rose Mazzola still played guitar on the album, but dipped before it came out. And they also brought in the definitive rhythm section of the Distillers, in my opinion. Andy Gunelli on drums, who is a fucking wrecking ball behind the kit. And they got Ryan Sin on bass. And fuck, this guy could play with the best of them. Just listen to Sick of It All. And speaking of Sick of It All, my word, not only is it better than anything the hardcore band of the same name ever released, but it is by far my favorite Distillers song of all time. Shit, it might just be the best punk song in the 2000s. Now sure, saying that might not sound like too much, considering shit like this was being called punk at the time, but the song is still really good, okay? I mean, it starts so bleak with Brody singing about some fucked up shit, basically talking about how bad some people's lives can get.
I'm a girl, I'm only 13, my body runs, 'cause I won't fucking need. I'm a silent spawn, no hero, I'm a mirror fucking image of no control.
It goes on like this for about 2 verses, then with a complete change of instrumentation, the song goes from extremely depressing to extremely uplifting. Basically saying how, you know what, life could suck, shit can get you down, but with the power of music, and more importantly the power of fucking punk, you can make your life worth living.
We are kids, we play pop, rock and roll. If we didn't, we got no soul.
And the other songs are amazing too. Young Girl is really depressing because it's about Brody's childhood friend who was sexually abused as a child and ended up taking her own life. I mean, if this song doesn't make you feel something, then I don't know what will.
Stretch your legs and get down on your knees. I pray it never happens again. We were young girls in a small world. I'm your devil, can't make
main singles off this album, City of Angels and Young Craze Peeling, are also fantastic, really anthemic, and I think they should have done more for the band than what they did, even though they didn't do too bad. But hey, it was 2002, and punk music worth a shit didn't really stand a snowball's chance in hell.
Go on, pull the trigger, this'll be the last time.
Ulcer track is a little bit of a weird one, and has a bit of a reputation. Only for one line though, bullet in the bullseye. On one hand, I kinda dig lyrics because she said dick and it was funny, but it's also somewhat cringy, and it does kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, it doesn't make much sense for the song, and it seems like something they did for shock value. And the first time I ever listened to this album, it did make me go, and it is also kind of funny looking back, because I don't think old Timmy Boy gets the same treatment anymore. Seneca Falls is really poppy, kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, and I'd say it's my least favorite, but I still like it a fair fucking bit. Also, Hate Me is great, it's barely a minute long, and Brody is screaming like a fucking ring wraith. No shit, the vocals she does could very well pass for extreme metal standards. No shit, give it a listen. Jesus Christ, Seth Putnam, is that you? Yeah, overall, this album is definitely my favorite Distillers album. Out of the 3 albums, I think this album has all the best elements of the band. Brody's best songwriting, her best vocals probably, and a rhythm section to die for. If you take nothing else from this video, take this album, Sing Sing Death House. Buy it, stream it, fuck it, do whatever. There's a million ways to listen to music nowadays, so you have no excuse to not own this album in some capacity.
You describe yourself as a she-male, don't you?
Did I? He-male, I think, is more appropriate.
She-male?
When you think of like she-male, you think of like
A woman with
a
a
woman
giant dick.
with a penis.
Time to reach up inside. Around the block, stays where the cool fade sinking in to make you well.
Cardinal Fang is kind of odd, and it's a little bit of a departure. The first album and Sing Sing Death House had a certain bite to it and a certain vibe, which Cardinal Fang does have to an extent. This album goes in a different direction. For one, it's more of an alternative direction overall. There's also some emo elements sprinkled through. But don't get me wrong, it's still overall a punk album. Just a very different punk album. And that's also due to new guitarist Tony... I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce that, so I'm just gonna call him by his stage name, Tony Brandley. But anyway, he's a real good addition to the band, and I think he fits like a glove. I just wish there were more Distillers albums with him to play on. Yes, and I know, that cover. There was obviously also a censored, pussified version of the album with animals on it, kind of making fun of the fact that it was censored, but there was actually another cover which is even more risque than the original. The vinyl pressing of the album replaced the drawing with a real woman, and I'm censoring it here, but yes, on the cover there's full-blown titties and vajayjay. And before you all open another tab to search for it. It's something which I didn't really want to talk about because I want to discuss the music, not the petty bullshit behind the scenes. I mean shit, there's an entire section on Brody's Wikipedia going into this drama, and it overall somewhat overshadows the band. But here's the thing, whether we like it or not, it's a big fan of the band's history and why they end up splitting up. So as I've already made somewhat of a mention to in this video, Brody was married to Rancid frontman Tim Armstrong. Keyword was, because shit ended very ugly between the two of them. Apparently Tim was a controlling husband and it took her 3 years to actually leave him. Then things got even more toxic when Brody started dating her now husband Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age and Caius. And that's when Timmy Boy decided to send death threats to the man, which, yeah, good luck with that. And he also even ended up writing a song about the situation and... You fucking pussies. But anyway, back onto some good music. One of the main things that differentiates Coral Fang from the 2 albums that preceded it are the lyrics. Brody stepped up her game big time in the lyrical department. The lyrics don't outright tell you what the song's about, it's up to the listener to make up their own mind of what the song means to them.
I didn't really want to be obvious on this record, so it's just a bunch of words, strung together. It's paint pictures. It's just a bunch of metaphors, really.
A song can mean one thing to someone and something completely different to another person. One of the main examples would have to be Beat Your Heart Out. A lot of people call it like a happy love song, but when I first heard it, I thought so too. I thought it was about Josh. The music was bouncy, it was up-tempo, and the chord progression doesn't make me want to slit my wrists like the rest of the songs of the album. But then I paid attention to the lyrics and... yeah, not too cheery, is it? You make my heart beat faster. Because she's afraid of him, not because she loves him. And a lot of these songs I interpret as being about Tim. Like the first single, for instance, Drain the Blood. I mean, listen to his lyrics. All these fiends want teenage meat. And Tim and Brody met when she was only 16. Yeah, it makes Tim out to be a major fucking creep. But again, something I love about this album's lyrics is that they're not blatant at all. You could listen to this entire album, have no clue about the drama, and not really miss anything. And both Beat Your Heart Out and Drain the Blood work as great songs first, and A Dig at Tim second. But the crowning jewel of this album, and probably their entire career, without a doubt, is The Hunger. Fuck this song, dude. The atmospherics presence are out of this world, and that scream Brody does at the start. Never gets old. And lyrically, it's about what you probably think it is. But this is the case where I say listen to the song yourself, because I think it's that good. And the other tracks I love have to be Die on the Rope, for kinda just them going back to their roots a bit, and being all in your face, and making a kick-ass punk song. The ending chorus of Hall of Mirrors is fantastic. There's also some slower tracks like The Gallows is God, which kinda sounds like Flipper if Flipper didn't suck a dick.
What a surprise! What a surprise! What a surprise! What a surprise! What a surprise!
But in my opinion, at least, there is at least one dot of the album, and that's Death Sex. And if you know the song, you know why I'm saying it. Because here's the thing, the actual song itself, when the band is actually playing it, is great, and it could have been the best song off the album. But they just had to fuck it up by putting in, I'm not kidding, about 10 minutes of dead fucking air. Metal Machine music shit. And I already hate Lou Reed, there's no way in hell I'm gonna fucking like B-grade Worship of by far his worst album. I mean, what the fuck were they thinking? They ended their career on this shit? I don't think I've ever seen a band as good as this do something that retarded. And look, it might have worked if it only went for like 4 or 5 minutes. But 10 minutes? Why? Bigger does not always mean better, just ask Iron Maiden. I'm sorry, it just pisses me off at the end of their career with this literal noise. They could have done so much better. But anyway, after the Coral Fang tour, people started to drop off like flies from the lineup. Andy Granelli formed a band called Darker My Love. Ryan Sin went off to chase UFOs with Tom DeLonge and Angels and Airwaves for all of 10 minutes, leaving only a meth-addicted Brody and Tony. Then also around that time, according to Brody, Tim Armstrong pretty much blacklisted the band, which basically means they couldn't get any work, couldn't get any gigs or anything like that, so yeah, fuck you, Timmy boy.
We collapsed and we disintegrated. We imploded.
And then
we told each other to all fuck off. Basically, we just, I think it was, you know, the end of an era. It was just time to let it go. You know, everyone was tired and burnt out, and we just didn't have any more manpower.
Yeah.
We just couldn't keep it going.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was a really good thing because
it's better to burn out than to fade away.
Anyways, it was a good thing because everyone kind of got to go and do, their own musical thing. Andy's playing in Dark of My Love, and that's kind of what he wanted to do for a long time. And you can't stay in something just for the sake of it. If you're unhappy, you got to keep moving.
And at that point, the band was put to rest and the Distillers were over. Brody eventually got clean, and her and Brody formed a band called Spinneret together, and I'm sorry, I just don't like it. It's not my bag, and it has little to nothing of anything I liked of the Distillers, or Brody for that matter. It just sounded spineless to me. And at that point, it really seemed like a solo project for Brody, which segues me into Brody's solo album, Deployed Love, which he released a few years ago. Believe it or not, I actually like it. No shit, it doesn't sound too far removed from Spinneret, but she brought some edge back into her music, and you can definitely hear her husband's influence on the album. And it makes for a pretty cool album overall. It goes in some weird places, which for someone like me who worships at the altar of Mike Patton, I can of course dig. I mean, I don't think it's as good as the Distillers album, obviously, even though the album cover looks like an anime fan's wet dream. And that's the Distillers, man. They're a great fucking punk band, which you may have not heard, because, like I mentioned, around the time they were out, other punk bands were around, sure, but they pretty much all sucked with a few exceptions. And will a reunion ever happen? I don't know, I doubt it. One, because the band was never really that big to begin with, and Brody's just way too different of a songwriter nowadays to really make a new Distillers album work, in my opinion. But hey, you never know. And if I see something announced tomorrow that they get back together, you know damn well I'll be excited.
Thanks so much, Distillers. Keep on rocking in the free world, and do-do-do-do-do.
Do. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sweet man.
Dude, put him back in the box.
Yeah, we should put it back. Bend his arm, hold it up here. Actually, hold it like this and put it here. Open your mouth.
Ice cream.
Okay, we're good to go.